All right, welcome everyone to the December 11th, 2025 City of Grand Rapids Planning Commission meeting. We're going to go through 4 cases today, but before I'll just go over kind of the proceedings and how things work during the meeting. So first, for every case, we'll have a staff presentation, and then we'll ask the applicant to come up and add any information that they would like. And then at that time, I'll open up public comment. And if you're here for public comment, you'll be able to come up to the microphone, introduce yourself, and address the commission for up to 3 minutes. Then the applicant will be able to respond to any public comment, and then the commission will deliberate and make a decision. There are draft resolutions that we've been provided, so with language both with findings for and against. So if you see us reading, we are, but that doesn't mean that a decision has been made, a foregone conclusion. So we are able to modify those as we like as we're reading them. And then another reminder that the meeting is being streamed live on Facebook and YouTube. So with that, we'll go back to the agenda and address conflicts of interest. Do any commissioners have conflicts?
Am I saying that I have a conflict or saying that I might have a conflict? So for 1150 Adams, I probably have a conflict because I'm the architect of record.
That seems pretty straightforward. Does anyone want to make a motion that Commissioner Swem has a conflict on 1150 Adams?
So moved.
Support.
All right, I have motion and support. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other conflicts?
Yes, same case, 1150 Adams. I believe that's an amplified project in conjunction with Habitat for Humanity, and I have sit on that board for Habitat Kent.
Okay. Yeah. And as a board member, you would be invested in the success of the project and the financial viability of the organization?
In theory, yes.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion on that one? Go ahead.
Motion
Motion that he has a conflict.
that is a conflict.
Okay. Do I have support?
Support?
All right, I have motion and support. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. So there has been a request by the applicant for 1150 Adams to table. And so despite Commissioner Swem and Yonker's conflicts of interest, we've been told that because of state law, the rule of necessity, they'll still be able to participate in that vote because otherwise we would not have quorum. So I'll go over it again when we get to that case, but I just wanted to note that at the beginning of the meeting. But if anyone is here for public comment, we will take public comment still on that case. We'll be taking public comment for all the cases. All right. Okay, did I cover all of that? All right, then let's start with our first case, 540 Russwood.
The first item on the agenda is for 540 Russwood Street Northeast. This project likely looks familiar because it was before you on September 25th. And at that time, during the public hearing, several neighbors expressed concerns relative to traffic challenges within the neighborhood that were associated with the school drop-off and pickup procedures. At the meeting, the decision was postponed and the applicant was directed to conduct some additional engagement with those neighbors as well as caregivers of the school and to develop a pickup and drop-off policy as well as a traffic mobility plan. Since that meeting, a mobile GR traffic engineer has been out to the school to observe both pickup and drop-off procedures and make some recommendations for signage changes to help control traffic within the neighborhood, as well as indicate where no parking zones are located. And they plan to continue to support the school and the neighborhood when needed. in additional traffic engagement efforts. The traffic engineer from Mobile GR has also worked with the school to develop a drop-off and pickup plan that was discussed and distributed at the additional neighborhood meeting that the school held on November 6th. At this meeting, 19 residents were present, and Mobile GR staff was also there to answer any questions that they had. So the school and the Mobile GR staff member were able to present this pickup and drop-off plan, as well as 3 other plans consisting of a parent education plan, a construction plan, and a neighborhood communication plan. Now to dive into a high-level overview of the case before you today, it is a request to construct a new 3,500 square foot building addition to provide some additional classroom space to enhance learning opportunities for the current students that are enrolled in the Rustwood campus. And this use is before you today as educational uses within the MCN LDR zone district requires special land use approval. It's also important to note that in 2022, the Planning Commission approved this original building addition of 7,600 square feet. And the new expansion will go on to that original expansion shown here. So this is the original expansion shown in the hash marks, and then where the expansion will be, it'll match same masonry, shingle roofing, and windows to match what the existing building looks like. And here's an overview of what the building will look like, with the school shown in the background as well. This new building addition will include roughly 3,500 square feet and 2 new classrooms. The classrooms are to provide some additional STEAM or nature programming for the current students that are enrolled. And here's some images of the original expansion showing the grade change that's present along College here. And then this is another nice image that shows kind of that grade change and how really the masonry wall and shingled roof is what's going to be shown along that grade. Relative to parking, there are 66 on-site parking spaces between the 2 parking lots. And the school has indicated that the demand for parking is about 56 parking spaces for staff. The Planning Commission may wish to confirm with the applicant that there's no anticipation to increase staff with the school expansion and having those new programs within those classrooms. The original school expansion required 14 parking spaces, and at the time was a deficiency of 4 parking spaces. And with the new school expansion requiring 6 parking spaces, overall there's a deficiency of 10 parking spaces. However, if the Planning Commission is amendable to approve this request, the deficient 6 parking spaces associated with this new building addition can be waived at an administrative level during the permitting process. Just one last thing to note, the Mobile GR staff does not anticipate that this proposed school expansion will further impact the traffic conditions within the neighborhood. So that's an overall high-level summary of the proposed project. Does the Planning Commission have any questions for me before I turn over to the applicant?
So I don't know if this is the proper time, but there's one letter in our packet, but on the iPads and on the internet, it doesn't really exist. So do we know what the overall contents of that letter were?
Yes, I can print that off and hand it out. Overall, it was just concern mimicking what was talked about at the first meeting relative to traffic concerns in the neighborhood. I think Creston Neighborhood Association is here, as well as the applicant and Mobile GR staff members who can speak to that engagement. and kind of explain how the neighborhood has received that engagement since that first meeting.
Thank you.
If the commission would like a copy, we can, maybe Laura could go make that.
Yep.
You are? Okay. I didn't know if Avery's summary sufficed or if you'd like a hard copy.
I think the summary works for me. I just
Okay.
if it was support or opposition or what
Okay.
point it was trying to make was
Yeah.
Yes.
helpful to
Okay.
understand.
Well, since they took the time to write the letter, Elizabeth, yeah, let's say the course just so that we have it and we can print it to economic development. Thank you.
Any other questions for Avery? Okay, thanks, Avery. We'll have the applicant come up.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Karen Vanderberg, principal at North Point Christian Elementary and Preschool. And we did take the recommendations that were made in the September meeting to further engage with the neighborhood regarding the traffic flow, the issues that were happening regarding communication, both our communication with parents as well as our communication with neighbors. So after that meeting, we did end up having a follow-up virtual meeting with some people that are involved in this process and with Kristen from Mobile GR. And she did recommend that or was willing to come and be a part of the neighborhood meeting so that we could have some engagement from her regarding the impact that Mobile GR may be able to have in helping areas such as parking and appropriate blocking of parking in areas that are just an extension of the intersection, which is part of what we were running into. So we did hand out the invitations to people who were most impacted by the surrounding traffic on the streets. We had a quality turnout, very good dialogue where we shared our updated plan, our parent education plan, which I believe that you have a copy of in the presentation as well. And then we're able to have a time of question and answer. Kristen was there as well from Mobile GR and was able to present her noticings to that point and said that they were going to be doing further observations in surrounding streets. She was also able to answer some of our questions as well as neighborhood questions regarding construction that's coming up on 3 Mile and Coit and the impact on area traffic. So it was very good dialogue. We were able to do question and answers regarding our education plan, our traffic flow patterns, and the expectations that we had laid out in our handbook and updated. We did significant updates to that section of our parent handbook. We took feedback from neighbors and then revamped it even further because they had some great insights. So we were able to communicate that information to parents through newsletter, but also through our parent-teacher organization, where I was able to meet with some key parents who are educators themselves with other parents. I'm not going to say that it's ever going to be perfect because it is school traffic, but we have been able to maintain a timely pickup and drop off, and there has been quite a bit of feedback from neighbors appreciating the updates. Some who have stopped by with notes and just appreciation for the continued attention to it. We have been told that there is going to be further updates from Kristen, so I'm sure that Mobile GR has done more to do their analyzing of what they need to. But we were very happy with the dialogue and the input from the neighborhood, so that's kind of where we are right now.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Do we want to hear from Mobile GR about? Yeah, let's have Mobile GR come up before the public hearing, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any specific questions, kind of what we're I think the one thing that maybe was not mentioned was that we will be putting up cleaning up the signs in the area, putting for where we don't allow parking, like on our T intersections and areas to not block, including no parking during certain school hours, and then also where buses only. So there's kind of just cleaning that up a bit.
Do you have a timeline on that, of when that will be completed?
It is in our system. It is not on the higher priority, but we can see kind of as this, I'll get you a better answer on that.
No, that's okay, but
Yeah.
it's in the queue and it will be
Yeah.
done. It's just a matter of depending on resources and capacity to
Yeah,
implement
because we
it.
do all of our signs ourselves, so.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, if there was nothing else, I didn't know if there were other developments since your time.
No, we've reviewed the communication plan and other things. We actually had a school safety meeting this morning. We're kind of discussing how we liked kind of the topography and such, the communication being simple and not look like an engineer made the map. So yeah, we thought it was pretty good.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Okay, then I will open up the public hearing. If you're here from the public and would like to speak to this case, please make your way to the mic, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, I'm Alex from the Crescent Neighborhood Association. Can confirm a lot of work has been done and communication had with the neighbors, and that meeting was very productive. And there's been a lot of tools that have been laid out to improve the process. And as you said, perfection is tough, but it has certainly come a long way in the last couple of months. So in my communication and conversations with the neighbors, they have been very pleased with the progress over the last couple of months and don't have any concerns at this time that should hold up the project any longer. Assuming that obviously we continue to work on the things and the signs and all of that as we go forward, but at this time we don't have any major concerns that should delay this. Thank you.
Anyone else on this case? Okay, I will close the public hearing and turn to my fellow commissioners.
So at this point, I'm in support of it. I think I was willing to approve it last time around just because I didn't know what the outcome of this exercise would really be. I'm glad that they listened and went back and worked with the neighborhood and Mobile GR. And then based on the letter that we did receive, I would say just please continue the efforts to be a good neighbor. And work with the neighbors and help to, I can't think of the right words, but help them to be comfortable in their home environment, right?
Yeah, I would echo that. I mean, I think that obviously it's a challenge. I also live next to an elementary school or near an elementary school, and it's always a challenge those times of day. And with the way that kids get to and from school these days, quite different than when I was in elementary school. But so yeah, it's never going to be perfect, I don't think. But I'm pleased to see the progress that was made. And at least according to testimony, we're not going to shouldn't see significant difference in traffic or increase in traffic due to this small addition. So hopefully the efforts being made along with a pretty steady flow of parents and visitors over the next couple of years, we'll see some improvements in the neighborhood. So I'm supportive.
Yeah, I'm happy with the results of their outreach. I also like the additional efforts being made by Mobile GR to improve signage, which goes a long way to, making it very clear the do's and do nots in terms of parking and traffic flow. So yeah, I would support.
Similarly, everything that we hoped would happen between the last meeting and this one occurred, so I am also in support.
Yeah, I completely agree. I appreciate the additional engagement. It seems like it was really done in good faith and thoroughly, and the development of the various plans. And yeah, an additional thank you to Mobile GR for the extra effort that they put in too. And yeah, just encouragement of continued communication. It sounds like that is the plan. And because this addition is not going to exacerbate or make that situation worse, I too am in support fully. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I can make a motion. Now therefore it be resolved that the Planning Commission approves a special land use and site plan review request of North Point Christian Schools, Todd Tolsma, to construct an approximate 3,500 square foot building addition for educational use at 540 Rosewood Street Northeast for the following reasons. Number one, the proposed use will be consistent with the purpose and intent of the master plan and zoning ordinance, including the zone district, because the proposed use will be consistent with the compact neighborhood designation of the 2024 Community Master Plan, which supports land uses such as K through 12 schools, and will contribute to providing a balanced supply of appropriately scaled educational uses that are compatible with adjacent land uses. Number two, that the proposed use will meet the site plan review standards of section 51208E because the building expansion will be developed so as not to impede the normal and orderly development or improvement of surrounding properties. 3A, the proposed use will be compatible, harmonious, and appropriate with the existing or planned character and uses of the neighborhood, adjacent properties, and natural environment because the proposed use is an expansion of an existing use, and the proposed use will complement and provide support for residential uses already in the neighborhood. 3B, potentially adverse effects arising from the proposed use on the neighborhood and adjacent properties will be minimized through the provision of adequate parking, the placement of buildings, structures, and entrances, as well as the location of screening, fencing, and buffering, because the building addition is appropriately oriented on the site and exceeds the 25-foot minimum setback, and the parking needs of the use will not be significantly affected by the proposed addition. 3C, the proposed use will not be detrimental, hazardous, or disturbing to existing or future uses or to the public welfare by reason of excessive traffic, noise, glare, or visual clutter because the school expansion will not further impact traffic conditions in the neighborhood, and the pickup and drop-off plan will manage traffic coming to and from the school and parking expectations. Pickup and drop-off plan will manage traffic coming to and from the school and manage expectations within the neighborhood. 3D, the proposed use will not adversely affect the walkability of the neighborhood, impair pedestrian circulation patterns, disrupt the continuity of the urban street wall, or otherwise hinder the creation of a pedestrian-oriented neighborhood because the pickup and drop-off plan will improve pedestrian circulation and safety on the property and within the neighborhood. 5A, the project will safeguard the health and safety of the general welfare of the public because the site has already been improved with infrastructure and additional infrastructure is not needed for the proposed expansion. 5B, the proposed use will not be detrimental to the financial stability or economic welfare of the city because the proposed use is not expected to result in a need for additional city services. Be it further resolved that the following conditions of approval shall apply to this project. Standard conditions set A approvals. 1, that the application and plans submitted by the applicant and signed, dated, and stamped by the planning director shall constitute the approved plans, except if plan elements do not meet ordinance requirements and/or as amended in this resolution. 2, that the use shall operate according to the application and per applicant testimony as recorded in the Planning Commission minutes. 3, that this approval does not include any proposed signs, and any future signs shall be subject to the requirements of Article 15 of the ordinance and permits received prior to installation. 4, that a land use development services, LUD's permit, building permit, and all other required permits be obtained from the City of Grand Rapids prior to construction, demolition, or operation. Sorry, that was 4. 5, that any expansion of the approved special land use requires an additional special land use review and approval by the Planning Commission. 6, that the proposed use will comply with all other applicable city ordinances and policies and all state laws. 7, that this approval should take effect 16 calendar days after the date of the Planning Commission's decision. And 2, that the parent education plan, drop-off and pickup plan, construction plan, and neighborhood communication plan shall be incorporated into the application and made part of the approval.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have support?
Support.
I have a motion and support. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Commission, I'm going to excuse myself to head to an important meeting, so Tyler and I are going to swap seats.
All right, now let's move to our next case, 1014 and 1024 Martin Luther King Jr. Street Southeast. Avery will walk us through this too.
The next item on the agenda is a request to establish a child care and youth center in an existing commercial building at 1014 and 1024 Martin Luther King Jr. Street Southeast. And both a child care center and youth center require special land use approval in the TNTBA zone district. This subject property is designated as a neighborhood center in the 2024 Community Master Plan, and it is surrounded by compact neighborhood. The intent of a neighborhood center is to reinforce a pedestrian and transit-friendly environment in a compact area, and to promote a mix of retail, services, and residential uses to enhance the vitality of the surrounding neighborhood. The subject property is surrounded by the TNTBA zone district to the north and east, as well as the TN-LDR zone district to the south and west. The subject property is at the southwest corner of MLK, formerly known as Franklin, and Neelan Avenue. As you can see on the image before you, the subject property used to be two properties in which each property had its own building located on the site. And since this request has been before you, the two sites have been combined into one. And the buildings are internally connected with a combined floor area of just under 6,000 square feet. Relative to the existing site, there are 4 drive entrances that provide access to the non-conforming parking areas on the site. So there are 2 curb cuts here shown off of MLK, and then another 2 off of Neeland, 1 here, and then another back here to the south. As you can see, there is currently no green space on the site, and the property is entirely impervious surface. There's also a non-conforming pole sign here at the northeast corner of the property. And there is a retaining wall located at this south property line. And so the subject property is at a lower grade than the properties to the south here off of Neeland, and then another property to the south off of Warden Street. For the site improvements, the applicant will repaint the exterior of the building, install new egress windows and doors on the north and south elevations, and they will close off the door along the west elevation to meet building code requirements. The 2 curb cuts off of MLK will be closed to provide roughly 3 on-street parallel parking spaces. There will be parking lot screening located along MLK and Neeland Avenue. Here at number 6, there is a dumpster enclosure that's shown on the site plan, as well as a proposed playground to the south of the building. And the applicant has indicated that the playground will be enclosed with a 6-foot-tall fence. The Planning Commission should discuss the materials and opacity of this fence in the area relative to safety for the children, as well as the impacts on neighboring properties. Another thing to note is that there's a fence shown here on the plan. Staff has worked with the applicant, and this will either be removed from the plan and dealt with at permitting, or it will meet the fence requirements and clear vision area requirements of the zoning ordinance. Relative to the uses, just wanted to note that this floor plan was submitted with a different orientation. I have flipped it so that it matches what would be on site, so the verbiage might appear upside down. It's because it is. So the Child Care Center will occupy this western portion of the building, and it will be dedicated to the childcare use, in which it'll have a lobby, 2 classrooms with a restroom in each. It will have a storage space, conference room, and offices, as well as 2 additional ADA restrooms. The hours of operation for the Child Care Center will be from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., operating Monday through Friday. And there will be 5 employees that will provide care for roughly 20 children between the ages of 3 to 12 years old. Relative to the eastern portion of the building, this portion will contain the youth center. As you can see, it is internally connected to the Child Care Center. This area will have a storage room, a kitchen, 2 classrooms, and 2 restrooms. The center will provide a space for the teens to come after school to complete homework, read, and participate in activities such as cooking and arts and crafts. Within this center, there will be 3 staff members to provide after-school programming care for roughly 20 students between the ages of 13 to 18. And this center will operate between 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Relative to the pickup and drop-off procedures, parents will enter and can exit through this northern curb cut off of Neeland Avenue. Parents can park and walk their students or children into the center, or they can pull in and queue in this pull-up, drop-off and pickup area and park in this area. Now, there is a 21-foot wide drive aisle that will allow cars to park here to walk their child into the center while allowing cars to circulate through and exit via this southern curb cut. I would also like to note that children attending the youth center will likely either bike, walk, or be dropped off by caregivers. And so this area will also be used not only for the Child Care Center, but could likely be used for the youth center as well. Relative to parking, there are 13 parking spaces that are required for the Child Care and Youth Center, with 8 spaces being required for the Child Care Center and 5 spaces being required for the Youth Center. And so overall, there are only 9 parking spaces shown on the site plan, and so they are deficient of 4 parking spaces. Now, with zoning ordinance methods, we can reduce or waive the parking requirements with some different methods, such as when there's adequate street parking. So there's going to be roughly these 3 parking spaces on MLK, and then you can also park on the east side of Neeland Avenue. Another method is having a bus route within 1/4 mile of the subject property, in which, go back here, number 10 on the site plan shows the rapid bus route and stop 2 is located right in front of the building at that area. And so using reductions for both the on-street parking and transit, the parking deficit could be met. And lastly, for neighborhood input, we did receive a letter of opposition this morning from the Baxter Neighborhood Association, in which they have requested the Planning Commission to postpone your decision to allow them to have time to speak to the applicant and have more conversation about this request. Does the Planning Commission have any questions for me?
Any questions for Avery?
I have one.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have any notation of where bike racks might be located?
Yes, great question. So number 4 here has bike racks, so there's going to be 2 spaces. So
sorry,
children that are biking, oh, that's okay. 2 children that are biking to the site can leave their bikes there as well.
All right, great, thanks.
And then I just want to confirm that, as far as we know at this point, the pole sign is planning to stay.
it is planning to stay.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying.
I see it on here. I just wanted to double check.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Okay, thanks, Avery. I'll have the applicants come up and add what you'd like.
Hello, my name is Emma Wilkins. I'm with Sella Building Company, representing Latrice Hampton. Before I turn it over to Latrice, who is the developer, we have been handling Baxter Neighborhood and MLK. I had a conversation with them yesterday in regards to this project. From my understanding, they were not going to oppose the project. The biggest concern that they had was the safety of the children, and I think that everybody can say the same thing. We just want what's best for the children, so they want to have a discussion on what security elements we can add to this project to increase the safety of the children.
Hi, my name is Latrice Hampton, and I just purchased a building in May of this year. Prior to that, I do have 25 years of experience working with children and families, as well as I own a child care facility on the 44th in Kalamazoo area. So I do have child care experience. Prior to that, I did work for the state of Michigan as a caseworker. So I also have that experience as working with families that is less fortunate or lower income status. So born and raised in this area, so I felt like this is a good opportunity to bring my business back into the area that I born and raised and trying to get back to my community.
All right. Does anyone have questions? I have one question.
Yes.
Well, one so far. So it says in the application that there are 2 classrooms of up to 20, so 40 kids for the daycare portion?
Yes, per
Okay.
classroom.
And then, can you talk to us a little bit about the 3:30 p.m. stop time?
Okay. Oh, because I'm a Great Start Readiness Program, so I get the state funding. So we'll be having 2 Great Start Readiness Program in that facility. So that's our Great Start hours that I currently run with the Kent ISD. So I'm also going to apply for that grant as well for those 2 classrooms. So that's why we'll be ending at 3:30. So while those kids are leaving, we have our school-age kids that will be coming in on the other part when they get out of school.
Okay. All right. So, but in general, the operating hours for both sides together will be around 8 to 7?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
So if you wanted to extend that care longer than 3:30, you could?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Cool. Any additional questions?
Yeah, I wonder if, so I noticed that the child care center is on the west side of the building and the drop-off is on the east side. With potentially 40 students or child care participants, that could be a lot of vehicles. I just wonder about, like, a parent will have to walk the child across, right?
Well, so, yeah, if you roll back to the other one.
I think you can point with the mouse there if you want to.
Oh, okay. Can you go back where the classrooms? Okay, so they will have, so the parents, yes, the parents will have to walk to this door right here to get in. So yes, so they will park and walk, and we will greet them there, and then they will sign their children in, and then they will go back out. So yes, they will have to park and then walk them in, because these are 3 and 4 year olds. So they just not like elementary kids. So our elementary kids could be quite different, but for our 3 and 4 year olds, yes, we do want to meet the parents and make sure that we have their child and they sign their child in and out. So yes.
Yeah, so in that, I guess the letter from the neighborhood association talks largely about potential traffic, and I would agree it's not necessarily opposed to the development, just asking us to have further conversations about it. If I'm a parent there, I'm coming in off of Neelan, there's probably, I didn't scale it, but probably 3 spots for cars to queue. And I'm walking down the sidewalk in, I'm signing them in, I'm coming back. I mean, it's probably a 10-minute process or so.
No, right now, our parents is not really that long. So it really all depends on how long you like to stay, how long you feel comfortable. A lot of times the parents come in, give their kid a hug, they sign in, we say good morning, and then they out the door. Now, every now and then, you might have a parent, especially that first week of school, or, we have a special event. Of course, you want to stay a little longer, make sure they're comfortable. If they cry, you want to soothe them. But a lot of times, you really sign them in, good morning, have a good day, and then they go on around. So you're not really in for a long period of time. So
Okay.
a lot of our parents, because I have a child care and I do this now, a lot of kids keep their parent car running. They come in, they sign in, give them a kiss, have a good day.
Yep, good. Okay.
Kind of in that same vein, I'm wondering if, through your conversations with talking to the neighborhood association and their desire for additional conversation around security elements, if you have any ideas of what that might look like, or whether the current plan you think addresses all their concerns.
Okay.
For addressing their concerns, for the most part, we still have not determined the exact security system that we will be using, but we have talked about the entry system, whether that's a call-in system with a button, if it's more simplified like a Ring camera, but nobody will be able to enter the building unless one of Latrice's staff members lets them into the building. There is a vestibule, so they will be able to enter a certain portion to get out of the weather elements, but then they will not be able to get to the classrooms. The other portion was the playground. They just don't want other people in the neighborhood to be able to roam into the areas that children will play. That's why we are proposing to put a 6-foot fence around the playground. And additionally, the classrooms for the daycare facility have access directly from the classrooms directly outside to the playground. So they won't have to walk around the building at all.
Awesome, thank you. And then a note in here that we were recommended to ask about was fence materials and how much you can see through it. Can you talk about what you're planning there?
My goal is to not have them have a see-through, just because I went to Boston Square and I looked at their fencing. They was kind of saying some of the issues that they have with their fencing for their childcare facility. So I'm recommending, my thought process is to not have it be a see-through, so anybody that's walking through won't be enticed to maybe want to jump the fence, or, you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be very secure. So, and I also have to follow the state of Michigan policy for playground as well. So we will take that definitely into consideration when we build our playground.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, oh, go ahead, yeah.
I just wanted to add a note for the traffic flow and everything. Both Latrice and ourselves, we have had conversations with the city in regards to that traffic flow. It was one of their requests that the MLK curb cuts get closed off and to try to flow traffic through off of Neeland as much as possible. And due to the layout of the site, we're trying to fit as many parking spots as possible for those parents for pickup and drop off. But we are working around the existing building in that shape.
For sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a seat. All right, I'll open up the public hearing. If you're here and want to talk to us about this case, feel free to come up to the mic. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and turn to commissioners here.
So I think, excuse me, since there's some traffic concerns and Mobile GR's here, I'm wondering if they could speak to kind of the amount of traffic. I appreciate that maybe they haven't had a lot of time to think about it, but if there's any information about this type of use with a couple of rooms, if there's any significant concerns about traffic.
Generally, we will have them do a trip generation letter, which is using the Institute of Transportation Engineers, kind of the rates you would expect for vehicles to be generated based on square footage of a building, kind of employees and things like that. And this one did not rise to the level where we would look for a specific traffic study, so it's considered a lower impact. The fact that they're closing the curb cut on MLK, I think is a very good it helps with that circulation in there. And the thing with the daycare kind of compared to a school is like a school has a set start time. So you have that kind of 15 minutes of really intense traffic. Whereas a daycare kind of has a longer drop-off period, more on various schedules and such. And having just moved out of this phase of my life, I can tell you that, yes, it is a fairly quick process for the signing in and signing out. So we didn't have any traffic concerns in the existing driveways that are there. This kind of cleans up the site the way that they've proposed it.
Thank you. So I guess my personal experience with traffic is similar. So my kids went to a daycare that was downtown Grand Rapids in Hartside, and there was no parking for the most part. And really, I can't remember an experience where I didn't know where I was going to be able to put my car in order to drop them off. And they had significantly more rooms than this. I think similarly, currently, my youngest son goes to an evening program at a church near our house. And the only reason I bring that up is that this parking lot without the drive headed south and the second curb cut is very similarly sized to the parking lot that everybody uses to drop their kids off for this program. And the parking lot gets a little busy, but people figure it out. So I think based on those things, and then based on the fact that Mobile GR doesn't appear to have any significant concerns about traffic, I think I understand the concerns from Baxter Neighborhood Association. I guess I do have to say I don't really appreciate the fact that there wasn't any community engagement to speak of that we're aware of outside of a phone call from yesterday. And so I think I would stress that everybody involved make sure that they're doing community engagement moving forward. But that being said, I don't think my opinion will change with further engagement.
Yeah, I think, a fantastic asset to the neighborhood. I mean, we need a lot more childcare. I live in this neighborhood. I think it'll be really excited to see this move forward. I would echo the comments that, and I don't know, Tyler, I don't know if you could just speak to this. I mean, when we have a special land use, I think the reason that this has to come to Planning Commission is because of it provides for the opportunity for public comment. And so I know that we often encourage applicants to do public engagement ahead of time, but it's not a requirement, right? And so I think my only concern is that, and I don't believe that, and I wish Baxter was here, but this letter doesn't speak about safety as it relates to how you enter and exit the building or security systems. It speaks completely to traffic that's already present here, and how this might affect that, right? And I don't think it'll affect how this or whether this would have my support, but it is disappointing that engagement didn't happen, just so that the neighbors can feel more comfortable with it, maybe put a name to a face, and feel like they have a little bit of a say in or a voice in how things happen in their neighborhood. I don't know if you want to comment on how staff maybe manages that.
Yeah, I think we, through that process, through engagement, it's valuable for the applicant to get feedback from the community, as you'd mentioned. So we value that. I think the board values that as well. To your point with regard to this, it's more about the safety of the children and having the applicant address those issues. So it's upon the board to determine whether or not you guys feel comfortable with the engagement that they've moved forward with to this point. I know in past cases, when we have people attend the meeting and there's applicant hasn't done the engagement as well as we anticipated, you guys have asked that they go back and with the last case, provide more engagement and have some more community input on a project.
Yeah, so to piggyback, you didn't ask me the question, but I think neighborhood engagement is not a strict code mandate. So I would hesitate to deny an application on the lack of that, but it certainly is a basis to table, as you've done often, if you feel that more engagement is necessary or beneficial.
I wonder if we could ask that, Ms. Hampton, would you speak to, like, if you have 40 students in a daycare, can you speak to how, like, a typical morning goes? Like, how are folks, talk to me about, like, if you open at 8 a.m., how do you see that daycare, how does that fill up during a morning? Are those kids coming in over a 90-minute period of time, a 30-minute period of time, like?
They start coming in like 15 minutes before start time. And then they have all up until, because some of our families have.
Could you scooch over to the mic?
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
I'm
No, that's
sorry.
fine, just for our recording.
So a lot of our parents come as early as 15 minutes prior to school, and then a lot of them come later because they have to drop older siblings off. So we have kids that's coming as late as 9 o'clock. So it all depends on but we take them as long as they want to come. So if they come at 10 o'clock, we're still going to take them. We ask them, do they still need breakfast, whatever. So when they come in, and normally they come in, we greet them, they sign them in, and then they out the door. Every now and then they might say, auntie, uncle is going to be picking them up, and we just make sure they have their ID if that's their first time, and then they out the door. So it's really a 5 minutes or less in and out drop off time. So maybe like that 8:15 or maybe 8:30, you might have maybe 5 parents, maybe 6 parents that's coming in, maybe 10 parents might come at that one time. But a lot of time they kind of saggling in because of, their day. They might have to get to work early or later. So it all depends on that family situation.
Okay.
So you have a program start time?
Yes, we do have a program start time.
Yeah, so I think, when I first saw the application and was reviewing it, and knowing this intersection well, it's not easy, right? That Neeland Avenue entrance just south of MLK there is very close to MLK, and to make a left turn out of there and then to get over to MLK, if you have a lot of, it could be a little dicey. There's no room for queuing on MLK at all. So I do see that there could be some concern with traffic, but given, testimony and what I guess I know anecdotally about how daycares operate, I guess I would just summarize by saying, I wish there had been some more engagement just so that could be talked through and the neighbors could maybe be, reassured of how the operations are going to work. But overall, I think a great asset to the community, and I would be supportive.
Just a question. Are we able to have a condition of approval be community engagement? We just want it to happen. I don't know that it's going to meaningfully change, at least it wouldn't meaningfully change my decision. So could it be a condition, or can we not require that?
Ms. Watkins, have you committed to continuing engagement with the neighborhood association?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate of how much community engagement has happened. So Latrice has gone door to door to the neighboring buildings that touch her parcel and has left information regarding the project and her phone number for any questions or concerns that they may have. So she has opened that door for communication. She has not received any feedback. The only person that I believe reached out was the neighbor across the street, which I know doesn't have as much involvement. And then additionally, yesterday's conversation with Baxter Neighborhood and MLK Neighborhood Association was not my first conversation with them. I have sent the plans and the site plan to them multiple weeks prior to this meeting. The only reason why yesterday's conversation happened was I was trying to see if they could submit a letter on behalf of our project. So that conversation yesterday was not the first conversation. If we need to do additional connections with the neighborhood, we are willing to do so.
All right. Thank you. Other thoughts? Yeah, I encourage y'all to continue working with the neighborhood associations. I don't think that it would materially change the decision based on, my own decision and what I'm hearing around the table. I too had my son in daycare downtown in Hartside. I'm wondering if it's the same place that Commissioner Swim had his. And so, yeah, there was no parking there other than street parking on a very steep hill, and it all worked out just fine. Yeah, I do wish the pole sign would go away, but I acknowledge that the closing of the curb cuts and the addition of green space and parking lot screening is a huge improvement, and so I'm not gonna die on that hill. But yeah, so there's a huge need for daycare, and I'm in full support of this project. Would anyone be willing to make a motion? Oh, go ahead.
Can the commission speak to the fence, the playground area, and whether or not they're comfortable with a 6-foot tall opaque fence?
I guess what would be a different recommendation? Because I'm comfortable with it being a solid fence. They have to meet state requirements. I guess I just don't know what, like, would city staff recommend a higher fence? Like, what is that recommendation?
I guess I'm thinking, would a open fence be appropriate on the street side of the playground, or are we comfortable with a completely opaque fence?
I think because there's landscaping, for me anyway, there's landscaping between the street. It's about, approximately 30 feet from the sidewalk. And you have small children playing there during the day. I'm comfortable with the opaque fence.
I agree. Okay,
Thank you.
cool. All right.
I would be happy to make the motion. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Planning Commission approves the special land use and site plan review requests of Sella Building Company, Emma Wilkins, to establish a child care center and youth center in an existing commercial building at 1014 and 1024 Martin Luther King Jr. Street Southeast for the following reasons. 1, the proposed use will be consistent with the purpose and intent of the master plan and zoning ordinance, including the zone district. Because the proposed use will support the 2024 Community Master Plan objectives to create complete and stable neighborhoods by providing a needed amenity to the neighborhood, support compact centers that provide a mix of uses such as a daycare center, and coordinate land use and transportation decisions by limiting the impact of surface parking, and support the purpose and intent of the TNTBA Zone District to reinforce a pedestrian and transit-friendly environment in a compact area characterized by a mix of uses such as a child care center. 2, the proposed use will meet the site plan review standards of Section 5.12.8.e because landscaping will be provided to ensure that the parking lot is adequately screened and driveways are located to minimize conflict with traffic operations on abutting streets, and the number of driveways has been reduced to increase on-site green space. 3A, the proposed use will be compatible, harmonious, and appropriate with the existing or planned character and uses of the neighborhood, adjacent properties, and natural environment, because activity associated with the proposed use is not anticipated to impose a burden on other uses in the area, and the proposed use is intended to serve community members within the surrounding neighborhood. 3B, potentially adverse effects arising from the proposed uses will be minimized because the buildings and entrances, including the drop-off lane, are appropriately placed on site, and adequate screening, fencing, buffers, and landscaping will be provided. 3C, the proposed use will not be detrimental, hazardous, or disturbing to existing or future uses or to the public welfare by reason of excessive traffic, noise, smoke, odors, glare, and visual clutter, because traffic related to child drop-off and pickup times will be limited to Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and with the exception of the playground, activities will occur inside the building. 3D, the proposed use will not adversely affect the walkability of the neighborhood, impair pedestrian circulation patterns, disrupt the continuity of the urban street wall, or otherwise hinder the creation of a pedestrian-oriented neighborhood, because parking lot landscape screening will help reestablish the street wall, and the drive entrances will be removed from Martin Luther King Jr. Street, providing more on-street parking and a more pedestrian-friendly, walkable environment. 5A, the proposed use will safeguard the health, safety, and general welfare of the public because adequate public or private infrastructure and services already exist or would be provided at no additional cost. 5B, the proposed use will not be detrimental to the financial stability or economic welfare of the city because the uses are intended to support the needs of the community. Be it further resolved that the following conditions of approval shall apply to this project, standard condition set A. And number 2, that the playground area shall be enclosed with a minimum 6-foot-tall opaque fence.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and support. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, now we'll move on to 1001 Fulton Street West.
The next request is to allow the sale of distilled spirits with an SDD license issued by the state of Michigan at an existing 24-hour convenience store that already sells beer and wine with an SDM state license. In April of 2004, the Planning Commission approved the sale of beer and wine at this location. The property is located on the northwest corner of Fulton and Lane in the traditional neighborhood, traditional business area zone district. There's residential to the north. It's the business district to the east and the south and the west. This property is also within the U to the Zoo area specific plan adopted in 2012. This area is designated in the plan as a mixed-use required storefront in which retail and residential uses are clustered at key intersections. The recommendations of that area-specific plan are also supported in our current 2024 Community Master Plan. As you can see in this image, there's residential to the north, there's a house to the west. Even though it is in the business district, there is some residential mixed in. There's a Polish Hall to the east across Lane, and to the south at the corner of Lane and Fulton is a grocery store market that is currently permanently closed. This property was originally a 7-Eleven. The building is slightly over 2,500 square feet. It's single story, and the building is positioned on the northwest corner of the property with pavement and parking in the front. It is, the parking lot is currently striped with 16 parking spaces. There is a service store on the northeast side of the building, and the main entrance and large storefront windows are on the south side facing Fulton Street. With this request, as it is merely a change in state licensing and the addition of distilled spirits to their sales, there are no site or building modifications requested. This property is also subject to CPTED requirements. That stands for Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design. It's ordinance that was adopted in 2019. It's a philosophy of crime prevention that utilizes the physical environment, such as planning, design, management, to deter criminal behavior. Establishments that sell tobacco, alcohol, and that are open past midnight are all subject to CPTED. And elements of the ordinance address visibility into the store and out into the parking lot, lighting, and property maintenance, all as aspects to prevent and deter crime. The City of Grand Rapids CPTED specialists and in the police and the planning departments have inspected this property, and it is currently in compliance with the CPTED ordinance. So getting to the inside of the store, 5 of the 14 cooler doors in the corner at the back are currently dedicated to display of beer, and one display shelf on the floor is dedicated to display wine. The cash register is located at the east side of the store along the wall. And the zoning ordinance requires that the cash register to be clearly visible from the street with at least 20 square feet of clear glass providing an unobstructed view. And if we go back to this, you can see that clearly is the case. The cash register location meets the zoning requirements. The change to add distilled spirits is that the display of distilled spirits will be behind the service counter along the wall. The West Fulton Business Association has submitted a letter of support that's in your packet. The John Ball area of neighbors have also submitted a letter. They do not oppose this request. And as you have seen in your packet, there are letters that have been signed by over 100 neighbors who are in support of this request, along with one letter we received of a property owner who does have some concerns related mostly to the potential of increased traffic and crime. In sum, we are asking the Planning Commission to consider the addition of the sale of distilled spirits to this 24-hour convenience store, and whether the application is consistent with the character, the location, development trends, and if it's an asset to the neighborhood. I did not talk about, I will defer to the applicant to discuss their management of the store. They submitted an operations management plan that is in your packet. And also for Planning Commission consideration is if that plan is detailed enough for the commission to feel confident with the addition of the sale of distilled spirits. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Any questions for Laura? Nope. All right, thanks, Laura. I'll invite the applicant up if there's additional information you'd like to share.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Johnny Thomas. I'm a business consultant specializing in liquor licensing. I'm here with applicant Bonanza Inc. and DBA Quick and Easy, president and owner-operator Paramil Patel.
Hello.
Yeah, Laura covered a lot, and thank you for that. Wanted to discuss a few things like the management plan, being open since, well, he's owned it since 2004?
2014.
2014, sorry. Prior to that, 2004, they were approved for beer and wine. Currently, Mr. Patel has had an SDM license through MLCC, State of Michigan, has had 0 violations as far as selling to a minor or any non-sufficient funds. All of that is listed on the public website through MLCC. And he also has 2 past control buys where MLC sends like the sting operations into establishments. They send minors in there to try and purchase alcohol. He has passed both of those, one in 2018, one in 2024. And as far as the nature of the use, the nearest rec area is John Ball Zoo, 3,700 feet away. Nearest religious institution, 1,500 feet away. The nearest school is 2,100 feet away. And I'd like to discuss a little bit about the management plan. Staffing and management is already in place as it's been existing he's been in the business for over 11 years. So when someone purchases beer, wine, or liquor, their POS system is very sophisticated. So it prompts the cashier to check ID, and they have to actually scan the ID. So it's a very nice system. To discuss a little bit about safety and surveillance and how to prevent crime and whatnot. I've been in his establishment, been in his office, and his camera system is top of line. It's HD. He has how many cameras in there? 48. 48 cameras. So, and as Laura mentioned, he is in compliance with SIPTED. We don't anticipate any increase in traffic. You know, adding liquor, of course, he would like to, you know, gain more customers, but I mean, you know, if he gets 100 customers a day, he's probably adding, you know, maybe 10 or 15 more customers with adding liquor sales. So we don't anticipate a large amount of traffic. He has ample parking. And yeah, you want to add anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Awesome. Any questions for the applicant?
How did you manage your neighborhood outreach to get such a large response?
I know. Basically, my all customers are pretty much local or neighborhood customers. So I did talk to them, and I did talk to the John Wall area neighbors too, and the Fulton Street Business Association. And I pretty much got all positive feedback. And I've been in business for 11, 12 years now. So I'm pretty much knowing all my customers and all my regular clientele. So, and basically I'm trying to give them a one-stop shop for all their basic needs or convenient needs. And the beer and wine, and we are just adding a distilled spirits, which we want to keep it behind the counter. So it's not going to be a self-serve thing. So that makes things a little in control. And basically I want to meet the needs of the current customers, give them a little variety.
And to touch on that, the one neighborhood submitted a opposed letter doesn't actually live there. They're the landlord, and the tenant who lives there signed a letter of support. So, and I do want to add that he runs a tight ship. He doesn't allow any loitering, you know, anyone to hang out front of the store. So, you know, he does a good job operating.
Great, thank you. I'll have you all take a seat.
Thank you.
And I'll open up the public hearing. If you're here on this case and would like to speak to the Planning Commission, come on up and give us your thoughts. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. What do y'all think?
It seems very straightforward to me, and they already have alcohol sales. It doesn't seem like a significant increase in alcohol sales or the area. It's not like it's turning into going from a convenience store into being a liquor store. And it sounds like, I mean, there's testimony to this location's success in safety to date, so I don't see any reason why this would pose any problems for the neighborhood.
Yeah, I would agree. Neighborhood support seems strong. Seems like he knows his customers well and hasn't had any issues, so I'm in support.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't seem like the volume being added here is going to significantly change operations. They already have an adequate operations and management plan in place. And I appreciate that they are already in compliance with SEPTED. So that isn't always the case. So yeah, I'm in full support as well. And I'd love to hear a motion.
I can do a motion. Now therefore be it resolved that the Planning Commission approves the special land use and site plan review request of Bonanza Inc., DBA Quick and Easy Parimal Patel to allow the sale of distilled spirits for off-site consumption at an existing 24-hour convenience store with beer and wine sales at 1001 West Fulton Street for the following reasons. Number one, the proposed use will be consistent with the purpose and intent of the master plan and zoning ordinance, including the zone district, because the use supports Objective 2A of the 2024 Community Master Plan for a range of businesses and compact centers to enhance local equitable access to services, and the use will contribute to an economically vibrant and attractive business and commercial area. Number two, the proposed use will meet the site plan review standards of Section 5.12.8.e because the building provides adequate means of ingress and egress by public streets and walkways, and non-conforming site elements are not required to be brought into conformance at this time as no site redevelopment is proposed. Number 3, the proposed use will be compatible and harmonious and appropriate with the character and uses of the neighborhood, adjacent properties, and natural environment because the 24-hour convenience store with the sale of beer and wine is already established and the addition of distilled spirits is not expected to be impactful. 3B, the proposed use will not have adverse effects on the neighborhood because adequate parking is provided. The building entrance is oriented to allow for maximum visibility on the site. 3C, the proposed use will not be detrimental, hazardous, or disturbing to existing or future uses or to the public welfare by reason because the addition of distilled spirit sale is expected to be an amenity for existing customers and an increase in traffic is not anticipated. 3D, the proposed use will not adversely affect the walkability of the neighborhood, impair pedestrian circulation patterns, disrupt the continuity of the urban street wall, or otherwise hinder the creation of a pedestrian-oriented environment because adequate transparency in the storefront is provided and will be maintained, and the building and site layout are not proposed to change. 5B, the proposed use will not be detrimental to the financial stability or the economic welfare of the city because the use is not anticipated to result in nuisances that require code enforcement actions, and the addition of distilled spirits to the variety of products sold will support the visibility of an existing business in the business district in which it is located. Under A1, given the character, location, development trends, and other aspects of the neighborhood, it is demonstrated that the proposed location for alcohol sales will demonstrably be an asset to the neighborhood because the use is expected to be an amenity for existing customers and neighborhood residents who already frequent the store. A3, the use or change in use as constructed and operated by the applicant is compatible with the neighborhood because the addition of alcohol sales will not materially change the operation of the store, and the display area dedicated for distilled spirits for sale will be minimal, consisting of one shelf behind the counter. And A5, the use as proposed to be operated by the applicant will not have any or minimal negative secondary effects on the neighborhood because the operation is in compliance with the CPTED and adequate operation plans already in place. Be it further resolved that the following conditions of approval shall apply to this project. Number 1, standard condition set A approvals. And number 2, that the area of alcohol sales shall be consistent with the submitted floor plan consisting of 5 of the 14 cooler doors, 1 floor display shelf for beer and wine, and 1 display shelf for distilled spirits located behind the cash register.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and support. Any additional discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, and now we come to our last case, which is 1150 Adams, and I'll just remind folks the situation here. We do have a request from the applicant to table this request to the January 22nd meeting. And as we discussed earlier, we have 2 commissioners with conflicts, but because of the state law, the rule of necessity, since they disclose their conflicts, and because without their votes, we won't have quorum, they will still be allowed to participate in a tabling vote. I do want to invite public comment on this case. If you're here and want to speak to the 1150 Adams case, please come up and share your thoughts with us. And I will close the public hearing then and ask one of you maybe to make a motion.
Make a motion to table this until the January 22nd meeting.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We now turn to Planning Commission discussion. Anything we need to discuss?
No, I don't really have anything today, other than this is our last meeting before the end of the year. So wanted to thank the commission for your commitment to community. This was a record year with regard to the number of permits that went through the planning department office or through our permitting process. And we rely on you folks on reviewing plenty of these plans. I want to thank staff as well, both from the planning department as well as other department staff, for being able to have them weigh in on these projects and do a lot of work on the back end of things to get these projects in front of you. So thank you for your commitment to community. We're seeing a lot of interest and investment in developing within our community, and a lot of that's reflective upon your guys' leadership and assisting us through the permitting process and the project review process. So thank you for your time and your commitment to the city.
Yeah, I put that right back on you also. Yeah, thanks to my fellow commissioners and to staff from all departments. Those of you who support us in the back there, we appreciate your time to be here in the meetings too. I hope everyone has happy holidays and a happy new year. We do have some correspondence that was in our packet related to some potential development along Knapp Street that is not associated with the current case that we have in front of us, but it was provided to us, I think, from now on. That kind of correspondence will be included in the packet with any applications that are associated with it. So we appreciate that and appreciate the public providing their comments, and hope you all continue to do that. And then I will now open it up for public comment. Seeing none, I will close public comment, and we are adjourned. Yeah, thanks, Al.